The final episode begins with Ko entering Hatsuka's apartment. When she enters, 3 people rush to the entrance to greet her, saying they did their very best to make her proud. But she just blanks them and says, yeah, good job. They begin freaking out about her praising them. Hatsuka tells them that she's sorry this is so sudden, but she has a guest tonight. Can they all leave? They freak out questioning who is he. It's not fair she's going to hang out with some little squirt. She glares at them and says they won't do what she asks, which makes them fall into line. Hatsuka continues by saying, didn't she say he's a guest, and they're going to badmouth him? She doesn't like that kind of behavior. They can all be good and do what she says, right? After that, Ko is sitting in a chair. He's supposed to just sit and wait, and wonders what's the deal with those people. They're not family, are they? Then they are probably the offspring or potential offspring. And what's the deal with Hatsuka? She seems kind of unusual, even compared to vampires he's met so far. Or maybe she's normal, who knows? He just knows so little about vampires. He didn't get any information, and now the night feels distant. He let her turn this night into a disappointment. Hatsuka asks Ko if he can come here for a second. She tells him that she forgot to grab a towel. We also find out that she is actually a he. Hatsuka continues talking, but Ko is just staring at him. He tells him sorry about that. He thought he already knew. Ko is like, let me get this straight. You're a guy? He says, yeah. Ko has to take a minute to comprehend that. Hatsuka says he's surprised as well. He figured Nazuna would have told him. Ko tells him that Nazuna never tells him anything. Rather, he's never made an effort to ask properly, even though there must have been plenty of opportunities. Hatsuka says, I don't know. She does have a way of being evasive, and says what, are the 2 of them fighting? We then see Nazuna telling the Vampire Council that she doesn't think Ko is going to be a vampire. Midori asks, what's this all of a sudden? Why don't they discuss this proper? But Nazuna cuts her off and says even if he doesn't, she wants them to leave him alone. She wants them to give him a free pass even if he doesn't become a vampire. Hirata asks, what does she mean by that? He has the potential to alert humans to the existence of vampires, and she just wants them to leave him be? That's awfully different from what they agreed on. Nazuna begins to half-heartedly apologize, but Hirata punches and breaks the table. She obviously came here prepared to face some kind of consequence. It would be a pain to fight amongst themselves, so killing Ko is way easier and solves everything. Nazuna tells her then she'll be the one doing the killing. Hirata tells her that ain't no way to go about asking for something, isn't it? She asked her once before, didn't she? Just what is Kou Yamori to her? How is he different from the other humans before him? If at all possible, she just wants to enjoy some love talk and leave it at that. Back with Ko, Hatsuka is saying, so you're not sure whether you want to be a vampire after all? After he went and made a big show of declaring that he's going to be one? Ko then tells him about the detective that can kill vampires, and asks he has an idea of how she did it. Ko says, I think she deliberately made him drink her blood, and the vampire said it tasted awful, and she handed him something. Then he was exposed to the sunrise. After that, he turned into something like ash and disappeared. Hatsuka says, ash? I thought so. He can't be for certain because, to tell him the truth, vampires don't know much about vampires either. He just talked about awful tasting blood, but they don't really know why there's a difference between good and bad tasting blood either, and remembers that Ko's blood is supposed to be tasty, right? He then brings up how Ko would have been in a fix if he hadn't given him a place to hide, right? Ko asks, you fell in love once too, right? With a vampire? Before he turned, was he conflicted at all? Or scared? Hatsuka then gets a message from Midori of the broken table. Hirata tells Nazuna that she better explain herself. Let's talk about love. Hatsuka brings up that Yamori being killed isn't a definite thing. Vampires have no clear-cut rules, so he really doesn't know what will happen to him and Nazuna from here on out. But there are consequences, and sometimes they demand harsher consequences from each other than from humans. Right now, he's not the one in real danger. It's Nazuna. Ko jumps up, but Hatsuka pushes him back down and brings up a proposition. He should become one of his offspring. Ko asks why. Hatsuka asks, how can you save Nazuna, who's about to face the consequence for her actions? Ko says, by becoming a vampire. Exactly. It's extremely unlikely that he's going to fall in love with Nazuna. She may be odd, but he's a 14-year-old in the midst of adolescence, and he doesn't feel even an inkling of attraction right now. Ko says, but still, that doesn't mean it has to be him. He asks why, because he's a guy? Ko says no, he doesn't mind that. He has a cute face after all. Hatsuko loses his composure for a minute and tells Ko that he doesn't hold back, does he? He doesn't seem like the type who'd say something like that, but being who he is, he thinks that he's the only one who can really understand how he feels as a guy. He's positive he can turn Ko into a vampire. Ko brings up that he doesn't have an inkling of attraction towards him though, but Hatsuko tells him that's easy. He's not nice like the others. All he has to do is trick his brain into thinking he loves him. Romantic attraction is basically like being brainwashed anyway. That's why his offspring all seem really happy. Ko says no thanks. He wants to fall in love with Nazuna, he thinks. Hatsuko asks, so then what is he going to do? Nico's pissed. Who knows what she's going to do? He could still be killed. Is he prepared for that? Ko tells him that he's not, but he doesn't want Nazuna to be bored. Ko then runs to Nazuna. As he arrives, Hirata tells him he's late. Nazuna left just a minute ago. Ko says, then she's okay? That's good. Hirata says, I don't know about okay. She won't be capable of proper conversation for a while. It's in return for his safety. A cheap consequence wouldn't cut it. Ko asks, what did she do to Nazuna? Then turns to leave to go look for her. Hirata tells her that she doesn't want to see him right now. Ko says, will you shut up? He wants to see her, that's all that matters. We see Ko hiding because he forgot the detective called the cops on him. Some cops are approaching and ask if they can talk to him. But Ko jumps over the railing and runs for it. We see Nazuna walking, wondering if Ko's pissed. She hopes he isn't. What? All she did was lie to him. She doesn't really know how to have fun at night. She goes on walks, drinks booze, or plays video games. That's about all she knows. But she tried to act cool in front of Ko. She wonders why. As she's about to get a drink, Ko shows up to her and says, you're buying booze again? Nice. And says he finally found her. Nazuna asks, why is he here? He says because he wanted to see her. She says, that's not what I meant. Ko tells her that he looked all over for her and notices that she's acting kinda off and asks if she's okay. Is she hurt anywhere? She tells him that she's fine. Ko says, but Nico said. Nazuna cuts him off and says that she said she's fine. We hear Hirata telling Hatsuko what she told Nazuna, saying that sure, consequences are important, but no amount of beating is going to get through that moron. Plus, violence really isn't her thing. She likes to talk about love. That's how she ended things, just like she promised. Ko tells her that he wants to apologize, but she says it's fine. Ko tells her that he was always bored until he met her, but not anymore. Hirata says that they're going to go all out and root for you two lovebirds. Ko asks, what about her? So, Nazuna, you better do whatever it takes to make Ko fall for you. That's the condition for not killing him. Nazuna says sure, it was fun. So much that she forgot that she'd been bored for ages. She hung out with him like a know-it-all just to look cool. But she never intended for any of it to be a lie. Everything they did was so new and fresh to her, she's sorry about their date, but it was fun in the end. That's why. As she's turning around, Ko grabs her and says, then they're okay. Him too, he had fun. Everything was new to him. If she thought so too, then they just have to keep finding new things to do. They're no good at being alone. And tells her that he's going to fall in love with her, so he won't let her ever get bored again. Let's stay together. Nazuna is at a loss for words. Ko, realizing what he said, takes a step back. He got too excited and wasn't thinking about how to phrase things. He's just glad she's not hurt. He was really worried they might actually kill her. Nazuna grabs his shoulder and kisses him, while thinking that she promises to become a vampire worth falling for. So, they're in this together. Then, the episode ends. Some personal thoughts. Just, wow. The swelling of the music ultimately leading to the kiss was simply beautiful. Before the last anime season started, I was actually thinking about not watching this because the premise, I wasn't too interested in it. but I'm so glad I did. For me, it's like a near perfect anime. I just love everything about it. The backgrounds continue to amaze me with how good looking they are, as well as kind of like the personal portraits, like especially Nazuna's at the very end. I mean, you can just see the passion behind it and really the care for it. I'm honestly kind of at a loss for personal thoughts. I'm just sad to see it go. I will definitely be picking up the manga, but that's about it. So yeah.